Raider Nation, what's good? Buckle up, because today we've got one of those debates that could spark a fire in every fan group chat who's really under more pressure this season. Patrick Graham holding down the defense or the offensive newcomer, Chip Kelly, and I know this topic's going to divide opinions. So before I even dive into the meat of it, think about your answer. Are you rocking with Patrick Graham as the one carrying the most weight this year? Or is Chip Kelly stepping into the hottest seat in Vegas? Now I'll tell you right now. Both guys are facing a serious spotlight. Graham got a pay bump this off-season, which always raises expectations. But Chip's coming in fresh, and with that comes a lot of hype, a lot of questions, and a whole lot of pressure to prove the Raiders didn't just throw money at a name for nothing. I'm leaning one way though. If you're asking me, I'm putting my chips on Chip Kelly. He's the one with the most to prove, and today I'm going to break down exactly why. Let's start with something simple: identity, the Raiders' offense. This year, that's going to be the Chip Kelly offense. There's no sugarcoating it. This isn't a shared system or some blend of ideologies. This is Chip's baby. Now sure, Patrick Graham's defense is still his responsibility, but don't forget Pete Carroll is a defense-first guy, always has been. So even if things go sideways on that side of the ball, there's going to be a little more cushion, a little more shared blame between Carroll and Graham. The offense though, if that unit flops, it's falling squarely on Chip Kelly's shoulders. There's no buffer, no fallback, no co-pilot. The Raiders didn't bring him in to be another voice in the room. They brought him in to lead, to design, to innovate, and most importantly, to deliver. And with that kind of expectation comes pressure. Now we all know Chip Kelly has a reputation for being a sharp mind with X's and O's. That's never been in question. The problem is, and always has been, how he connects with players. Can he get them to buy in? Because if they do, this offense has the pieces to be explosive even in year one. History shows us that Chip can install a system quickly and generate results fast. The real test, sustainability. Year 2, year 3, the NFL adapts, defenses evolve. Can Chip stay ahead of the curve this time around? And then you've got to look at the recent history of Raiders offensive coordinators. Let's just be real here, it's been rough. From Luke Getsy to Mick Lombardi, and yeah, we're going to lump Josh McDaniels in here too. Even though he was technically the head coach, he was calling the shots on offense, and we all know how that turned out. Getsy didn't even survive a full season. McDaniels' offense had flashes, sure, but never consistency. And that inconsistency has been killing this team. Las Vegas has only finished in the top 10 in scoring twice in the last decade, and that's even with a quarterback like Derek Carr under center for most of that time. Remember when they handed a bag to Jimmy Garoppolo thinking he'd fix everything? That didn't exactly go to plan either. The offense has had talent, but execution in the red zone, creativity on third down, and the ability to adjust on the fly, all of that's been missing. Which is why when they brought in Chip Kelly, I said from the jump this might actually be the perfect fit. He brings something different. He's bold. He's aggressive. He's going to challenge defenses in ways this team hasn't done in years. And finally, it feels like the Raiders are betting on someone who can change the offensive culture, not just manage it. Now there's another piece of this puzzle: quarterback play. Because this league is driven by QBS, and let's be honest with ourselves. The Raiders have had some of the worst starting quarterback situations in the NFL over the past 2 years. Gardner Minshew, Aidan O'Connell, Desmond Ridder, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer. That's not exactly a murderer's row of elite talent. That's been patchwork. That's been desperate. And it hasn't worked. But now they've got Geno Smith. That's Pete Carroll's guy, and he's already locked in with the 2-year extension. So here's where things get interesting. If Geno plays well this year, who's going to get the credit? It's not going to be Carroll. People already know what he brings. It's going to be Chip Kelly. And if Geno struggles, the blame is going to land right back at Chip's feet. Because people are going to ask, wait, Geno was solid in Seattle. What changed? And the only new variable is Chip Kelly. This is a huge pivot point for the Raiders. Because let's be real, a successful season from Geno, especially with young guys like Brock Bowers and JPJ stepping up, is going to do more than just silence critics. It's going to help fans fully turn the page on the Derek Carr era. And whether people want to admit it or not, that's still a wound that hasn't completely healed in Raider Nation. If Chip's offense can finally bring some spark, some rhythm, some life to this team, then yeah, the move away from Carr is going to look like the right call in hindsight. There's a lot more I want to unpack, especially about how this roster is being built and what that says about the team's direction, but let's just park it here for now. Because everything I've laid out already makes one thing crystal clear: Chip Kelly isn't just under pressure. He might be under the most pressure of anyone not named Pete Carroll in the Raiders building. Right now, let's talk about what this team is really being built around, because that tells you everything you need to know about where the pressure lies. When you look at the core of this Raiders roster, the guys who are expected to carry the franchise into the future, where are they lining up offense? That's where the investment is going. That's where the potential is sitting. That's where the expectations are bubbling up, and that means one thing: more eyes on Chip Kelly. Let's run it down. You've got Max Crosby on defense, and look, he's a warrior. No one's questioning his heart, his leadership, or his production. He's a cornerstone, but he's also creeping up on 30. Christian Wilkins just got here, and there's hope that he becomes a real force up front. Malcolm Koonce has upside. Tyree Wilson needs to take that next step, and Jeremy Chin is someone people are excited about, but all those pieces are either still unproven or on short timelines. Now look at the offense. You've got second-year standouts like JPJ and Brock Bowers, guys who aren't just talented, they're foundational. You've got a dynamic weapon in Ashton Jeanty who fits right into the modern mold of explosive pass-catching backs. These are young, athletic, high-upside players who you can build around for the next 5, maybe even 10 years if everything goes right, and Chip Kelly has been handed the keys to that future. And it's not just the players already on the field. Look at the draft. Out of the first 6 picks the Raiders made this year, 5 were offensive players. That's not a coincidence. That's not a fluke. That's a message. The front office, John Spytek, and the decision-makers in Vegas, they're staking this next chapter of the franchise on offense, on development, on identity, on Chip Kelly. Let's go even deeper. They didn't just hire him. They paid him $6 million a year. That's double what he was making at Ohio State. They gave Patrick Graham a raise to bumping him from $3 to $4 million. But that gap tells you something. It tells you who they believe is going to drive this ship. It tells you where they're putting their faith. And it's not just about calling plays. It's about becoming the face of the franchise's next era. And here's the real kicker. Chip Kelly might not just be the offensive coordinator. There's real buzz, serious conversations, that he could be the next head coach of the Raiders. Now I know Pete Carroll is still here, still bringing his legendary defensive mind, still anchoring the culture, but let's be honest, the man is 73 years old. He's not going to coach forever, and the way this staff is structured, the contracts, the responsibilities, the delegation of power, it feels like a soft transition. It feels like a test run. It feels like Chip is being evaluated not just as the offensive leader, but as the potential next guy up, and that changes everything. Because now you're not just talking about coordinating an offense, you're talking about proving you can lead an entire team, that you can connect with players on both sides of the ball, that you can handle the spotlight, the criticism, the in-game adjustments, the locker room dynamics, that you can be the guy. There's even talk that Mark Davis has had his eye on Chip Kelly for a while, that this isn't a new infatuation, but something that's been simmering behind the scenes. And if you rewind the tape a bit, there were whispers back in October, even before the coordinator spot opened up, that Chip could be a dark horse candidate to eventually run the whole show. Now that he's in the building, now that he's got the money, the talent, the platform, the expectations are sky high, and all of this, the roster, the salary, the long-term vision, it leads to one undeniable truth: Chip Kelly is under more pressure than Patrick Graham. That doesn't mean Graham is off the hook. Far from it. If the defense slips, if they can't stop the run, if they can't get off the field on third down, there's going to be heat. But the structural setup of this team, the way the Raiders are thinking about their future, it's all tilted toward the offensive side. And that means Chip Kelly better deliver. Let's not forget, Raider Nation is starving. Starving for consistency, starving for identity, starving for a reason to believe this team can be more than just flashes and highlights. And for years, the offense has been the Achilles heel. Missed opportunities in the red zone, poor clock management, questionable play calling, wasted talent. It's been one thing after another. But now there's hope. There's young talent. There's a mobile quarterback in Geno Smith with something to prove. There's a tight end in Brock Bowers who could be a generational weapon. There's a backfield with real juice. There's speed on the outside. There's versatility. And there's a guy calling plays who has been waiting for this second chance, this redemption arc, to show the NFL that his system still works, that his ideas still matter, that he can still outsmart the best defenses in the league. It's all there for Chip Kelly, the opportunity, the support, the resources. But with all that comes weight, and this weight, it's heavier than most, because if he succeeds, he's the hero, the guy who revived the Raiders, the guy who bridged the gap between eras, the guy who made Las Vegas believe again. But if he fails, there's no hiding, there's no scapegoat. It won't be about growing pains or learning curves or needing more time. It'll be about promises broken, potential wasted, momentum stalled, and in this league, especially in a market like Vegas, patience doesn't last long. So when you ask me who's under more pressure this season, the answer is simple. It's Chip Kelly, because he's not just coaching for today, he's auditioning for tomorrow. And the future of the Raiders might just depend on whether he passes that test. What makes this whole situation even more fascinating is how it's all happening so quickly. This isn't some slow, gradual rebuild. The Raiders have gone all in on reshaping their identity in what feels like the blink of an eye. And in that whirlwind, Chip Kelly has suddenly found himself at the center of it all. Just months ago, he was running the offense at Ohio State, operating in a completely different environment, different pace, different expectations, different stakes. Now he's in Las Vegas and everything is accelerated. Every game is going to be magnified. Every play call scrutinized. Every win will be celebrated, but every mistake will echo louder than ever. And that's the reality of the NFL, especially when you're handed the keys to a franchise with a fan base as passionate and as demanding as Raider Nation. These aren't casual fans. These are people who live and breathe this team, who've been through the highs and lows, who've seen legends come and go, who remember the glory days, and have been waiting far too long to taste them again. So when you put someone like Chip Kelly into this environment, you're not just asking him to design a scheme or coach a quarterback. You're asking him to restore belief. That's a tall order. But the Raiders didn't bring him in to play it safe. They brought him in because they believe he can be different. Because they believe his mind, his energy, his approach can spark something that's been missing. They believe he can build something new, something exciting, something sustainable. And in doing so, maybe, just maybe, change the narrative around this franchise for good. But of course, that's easier said than done. We've seen brilliant defensive minds come into the league with all the buzz in the world and fall flat. We've seen systems that look unstoppable in college get swallowed up by the speed and complexity of the NFL. We've seen innovation crash headfirst into defensive coordinators who know how to adjust, who know how to take away your first option, who force you into your weaknesses. So for Chip, this isn't just about implementing his offense. It's about evolving it. It's about showing that he's not just recycling the same playbook from 10 years ago, but that he's taken what he's learned, what's worked, what hasn't, and adapted it for this moment. Because this moment, it's huge. The Raiders aren't just trying to compete. They're trying to transform. They're trying to shift from a team that's constantly chasing stability to a team that demands excellence. From a team that's always maybe next year to a team that walks into every season expecting to make noise. And for that to happen, the offense can't just be decent. It has to be dynamic. It has to be dangerous. It has to be consistent. That's the bar now, and it's not like Chip's walking into a situation with no weapons. He's got talent. He's got young players who are hungry, who fit his style, who can stretch the field and break games open. He's got a quarterback in Geno Smith who's not only proven he can win games, but who now has the chance to redefine his own legacy. And that's a key point here, because Geno's story is tied directly to Chip's success. If Geno thrives in this system, it validates everything. If he struggles, it puts everything under the microscope. The stakes are massive for both of them. And while some might say Geno has more to lose because he's the one on the field, the reality is the system is what everything will come back to. Coaches get judged by how they maximize the pieces they're given, and Chip has pieces. He's got a front office backing him. He's got ownership that made this hire with a clear vision. He's got time, at least for now, but that time comes with conditions. It comes with the expectation that this thing's going to move fast. And you can already feel the momentum shifting. You look at how the Raiders drafted. You look at the types of players they're adding. Smart, tough, versatile, high-motor guys who can play in space and adapt on the fly. That's not just a trend. That's a strategy. That's an alignment between coaching and scouting. And when you have that alignment, when everyone's pulling in the same direction, that's when special things start to happen. But again, it only happens if the leader at the center can hold it all together. That's Chip now. That's his role. This isn't college anymore. This isn't about recruiting or running up the score against overmatched opponents. This is about leading professionals, earning respect, making adjustments, and finding ways to win. When things aren't going according to plan, it's about resilience. It's about growth. It's about proving that the trust the organization has placed in you wasn't misplaced. And the funny thing is, for all the pressure that's on him, there's also a huge opportunity. Because if Chip gets this right, if the offense hits, if the players buy in, If the Raiders start stacking wins, he doesn't just rewrite his NFL legacy. He cements himself as a central figure in one of the league's most storied franchises. He becomes more than just a name with a history. He becomes part of the future. And in a league that moves fast, that kind of second chance, that kind of narrative flip, that's rare, but it all starts with results. That's the bottom line. This isn't about potential anymore, it's about execution. And in a few short months, we're going to find out exactly what Chip Kelly is made of. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. There's been a buzz in the NFL world that could shake up the landscape as the Las Vegas Raiders and Miami Dolphins might be gearing up for a major trade deal. Rumors are swirling that the Raiders could be sending their promising tight end Michael Mayer to Miami, potentially in exchange for linebacker JAYLEN PHILLIPS. This possible blockbuster move has fans and analysts alike speculating on what it means for both franchises moving forward. Michael Mayer, a talented young tight end, has shown flashes of brilliance with the Raiders, quickly becoming a key offensive weapon. His ability to create mismatches and reliable hands make him a valuable asset in the passing game. However, with the Raiders seeking to strengthen their defense, especially at the linebacker position, the team might be eyeing JAYLEN PHILLIPS as a solution. Phillips, known for his aggressive style and versatility on defense, could provide the Raiders with a much-needed boost in their defensive unit. On the other side, the Miami Dolphins have been quietly searching for offensive weapons to complement their explosive skill players. Adding Mayer to their roster would give them a dynamic tight end who can stretch the field and provide a consistent target for their quarterback. The Dolphins' offense, already known for its speed and innovation, could benefit immensely from Mayer's presence, potentially opening up new playmaking opportunities. While no official announcement has been made yet, insiders suggest discussions are underway, and the deal might be closer than many expect. Both teams stand to gain something valuable, but the ripple effects of such a trade could be significant. Raiders fans might be concerned about losing a young offensive star, but gaining a defensive presence like Phillips could help shore up a unit that has struggled at times. For the Dolphins, bringing in Mayer could signal a shift toward a more balanced attack, mixing speed with reliable pass-catching options in the middle of the field. This could make their offense even tougher to defend. Yet parting ways with Phillips, who has shown promise on defense, might leave a gap the Dolphins will need to address elsewhere. As the trade rumor heats up, fans from both sides are eagerly watching for updates, weighing the pros and cons of such a move. Could this deal redefine the strengths of these teams for the upcoming season? Will it be a win-win, or will one side come out feeling shortchanged? Only time will tell, but for now the NFL rumor mill is alive and kicking, with talk of Michael Mayer heading to Miami and JAYLEN PHILLIPS arriving in Las Vegas. Stay tuned for what could be one of the most talked about trades of the season.